If you had to be placed in a Saw trap, which one would you choose? Finally, it's finally here, Part P. Thank you guys for your patience. This is the final part of my Saw trap series, in which I'm reviewing every damn freaking trap in all of the movies based on how survivable they are, in my opinion, from child's play to absolute bogus. In parts 1 and 2, we did movies 1 through 6. So in part 3, aka Part P, we have about 4 more movies left to do. Starting with Saw the Final Chapter, aka Saw 7, aka Saw 3D, aka Saw Not the Final Chapter, then Jigsaw, then Spiral, and finally Saw X. You know this. All right, baby, for the final time, let's drop in. We start off Saw 7 with the first public Saw trap, where 2 bros face off with each other and the girl that's been playing both of them. First off, I don't get what the point of this being public really did. I remember this was heavily used in the marketing, but once this scene is over, it's never brought up again in the movie, which is weird because I feel like a public execution might be one of the most significant things to ever happen in the Saw universe, but whatever. Jigsaw must have gone through some bad breakups in his day because he's playing clear favorites. He basically tells them, are you gonna kill your friend or are you gonna get revenge on this toxic bitch?
She is toxic.
And after that, they go back and forth with the Saw for a bit, and then they realize she's for the streets, and they both agree, screw this bitch, let's saw her in half. Which, okay.
I think we're breaking up with you, Tina.
First off, I've said this before, but I hate in the late Saw movies of the OG7, they always set up these traps where at least one person is doomed to die. Like in this one, the trap doesn't end until one of the 3 of them dies. That just doesn't capture the spirit of Jigsaw to me. All the best traps are set up in a way where with quick thinking and following the rules to a T, there's always a way, no matter how unlikely, for everyone to walk away with their lives. Not that that ever happens, but still. So for that, I have to call bogus on this lover's quarrel. Ooh, it's hot. Hey. Next is the pain train. And this is technically not real, it's just like Jill's dream, but I have to say this does not count as a trap. Jill is just tied up and Hoffman sends a giant spike contraption down a track to kill her. That's it. I love this obvious mannequin shot. It's fun and it makes me laugh every time. This, more than anything, just feels like a shot they threw in for the sake of having an insane 3D shot. If you don't know, the alternate title of this was Saw 3D, and this was at the height of these studio obsessions with these 3D horror movies, where they have all these stupid little CGI models like flying towards the screen all the time. It's hilarious because it dates the movie so horrendously, but we'll be seeing a lot of that throughout. This is the trap with Chester Bennington from Linkin Park, but yeah, this is a fun one. Evan here has to rip himself away from the car seat he's glued to, pull this lever in 30 seconds or else the car will drop, creating a crazy chain of effect that kills all 4 of these people. This is classic stuff where we just spend the next minute or so watching everyone scream their heads off and then he fails at the last second and we get to see a bunch of practical effects death. I could definitely see some like brave 13-year-old throwing on this movie with their friends and being utterly traumatized by this scene in particular, but it all comes down to the glue for me. What kind of damn glue did Jigsaw use? I guess let's just say he engineered some glue himself because this is not Gorilla Glue. Even so, would ripping away from glue, like, would it rip your entire back skin off, revealing muscles and bone underneath? But it seems like there would just be a top layer of skin you could rip off. Like you could just rocket yourself forward and rip it all off like a Band-Aid. All I'm saying is I think you could actually do this one. So I'm saying possible. So Bobby here is our main Saw player for this movie. He wrote a book and became famous as a Jigsaw survivor, but is actually a fraud. One pet peeve of mine is how Jigsaw starts the game while he's still talking. He does this in other movies too, and it's just like, all right, dude. Anyway, the bottom falls out of this metal Dark Souls elevator, and Bobby has to lower himself and then swing away from the spike. This one is obviously easier than most because he's still expected to survive and go through the rest of the room. However, what was Jigsaw's plan if he accidentally just fell and died right then and there? Which could have happened, but I'm gonna call this one doable. I certainly wouldn't call this easy by any means. I mean, you need some decent upper body strength at least. The fish hook trap, aka Speak No Evil. This is one of the hardest to watch Saw traps, at least for me. Bobby's publicist has a fish hook with a key on it in her stomach. They're both attached to this fishing line that he has to pull up out of her, all the way up out of her mouth to unlock it. But if the decibels in the room go up above a whisper, the spikes encroach on her neck. All right, first off, This is just completely impossible, right? Like if the fish hook hooks itself somewhere inside her, it's not going anywhere. And the screaming is insane. How do you not scream? Could he knock her unconscious? I don't know, if we're talking real life logic, you can't just knock someone out with a wrench or something to the point where they won't wake up if you're pulling a fish hook out of their stomach without causing them brain damage. What absolutely cracks me up about this though is how he keeps yelling at her, especially after she inevitably perishes.
Why would you just shut the fuck up?
Like, what do you expect, dude? But yeah, absolute bogus. Next is See No Evil, which is ironic because it's so dark you can't see a goddamn thing in this scene. This one is pretty simple. All Bobby has to do is lift up this gizmo that causes spikes to enter his love handles. He's just gotta hold that up for 30 seconds. That will stop this woman from getting some impromptu LASIK, if you know what I'm saying. Her eyes get gouged out by spikes. The mistake Bobby makes here is letting it go into him and then giving up and then having to try again. Like, I would think the hardest part would be the initial shock of the spikes going into your side. Then you just bear it for 30 seconds. While painful, I'd say this one is definitely doable. Next, we got Hear No Evil. This has got to be my favorite one in this movie. This is like my ideal Saw victim because this guy is just so real.
Do you know where Joyce is?
What the fuck, you can't see, man? How the fuck would I know where Joyce is? I'm about to lose my shit. Till I know where Joyce is, I'm fucking blind, man.
So Bobby's friend is blindfolded here and connected to the hangman's noose. Bobby has to direct him across these insanely precarious wooden planks. The thing that pisses me off though about this is that one of the planks breaks. It can't hold his weight. So did Jigsaw purposefully put that there? The only way this guy survives is by reaching out and grabbing onto a plank that he didn't know would be there. Bogus Central Station already, but it doesn't end there. Bobby then has to toss the key to the blind guy. Yes, that's right. He has to try and throw a key across a room in a way that someone blindfolded will catch it. And they have a nice 8 seconds left to do this end.
Oh, fuck me.
Oh, fuck me. Now we got the Furnace 2.0. This is one of the most absurd concoctions of just what that Jigsaw's ever come up with. So Bobby has to put these hooks through his pectoral muscles and climb up to this extension cord. If he plugs that in, that will stop his wife from being cooked alive in the furnace. The pectoral muscle thing is the trap that Bobby lied about in his book, so it's a nice way to tie up the end of his story. Here's the thing though, unlike all the other traps that we went through where the people in them knew about Bobby's lie and went along with it in order to enrich themselves, his wife has no idea and Jigsaw knows that. She is completely, and I mean completely, innocent. And not only will she die in this trap if Bobby fails, she is essentially tortured to death in a brazen bowl. One of the most infamously cruel torture devices ever invented in human history. What the hell, Jigsaw? Anyway, he climbs up and right as he's about to get it, of course, the hooks rip out of his chest and he plummets to the ground. Yup, he completes the trap, follows the rules, does everything right, still fails. Which is a shame because I actually think if he completed this one, it would make for a better ending to this movie. That would be a great subversion for a Saw player to finally win at the end of the movie instead of getting a game over. But Jigsaw's not a murderer, right guys? Alright, well anyways, bye wife. But here's the thing. All he had to do, and I am definitely not the first person to point this out, people have been talking about this on the internet for years. All he had to do was put his feet in the hooks and use them like stirrups. And for that reason, I'm calling this trap child's play. This movie ends back in the bathroom. Hoffman gets locked in here and gets denied the chance to saw his leg off. Whoa, 3D! And it's revealed that Lawrence has been helping Jigsaw all along. No way! I kind of call bullshit on this though. It's a fun twist to bring Lawrence back, especially because everyone's been wondering what happened to him ever since the first movie. And the actor absolutely kills it. I love the voice he's doing here. However, after John Kramer made him cut off his foot, locked Adam away, who Lawrence was desperately trying to save, and not to mention was directly responsible for the kidnapping of his wife and daughter. Yeah, I don't see that guy being down to just work with John Kramer after that. All right, and here we are at the worst two movies in the Saw franchise, Jigsaw and Spiral. Bro, what happened here? For all their faults, the first 7 Saw movies always had their redeeming qualities.
Piranha.
And I genuinely think are entertaining to watch. Like, sitting through all these movies has been insane, but I wouldn't be opposed to watching the first 7 Saw movies again. But these next 2, you could not pay me to watch these again. Thank God there has been some redemption since then, but we'll get to that later. This movie opens up with this guy who has some kind of trigger in his hand. His finger on the button, and the cop says,
"Target the remote. If he moves to trigger it, blow it to shit."
How are you gonna do that before he triggers it? Like, he moves to trigger it. All he has to do is press it. Anyway, he triggers it, and every cop there just blows his hand into a red mist. All right, man, just off to an insane start. Our first real trap is the bucket head. These people wake up in a concrete room chained to the wall with buckets on their head. Once they're up, they slowly get pulled towards this wall with saws on it. First off, you can see the set move right there. I can't believe the editors didn't clock that, or they just didn't care. No one making this movie gave a shit. But to beat this trap, you just have to give it some blood. One thing I don't understand is how these saws would kill you if they stop when they get blood on them. I don't know. I love how Saw characters are always such big team players.
Please help me!
Now here we see a character who doesn't wake up in time. I like this because it's always been a bit baffling how we always see the characters in group games all wake up together at the right moment to like hear the rules. This leads to a twist where everyone thinks he dies, but actually Jigsaw saves him because he feels bad because the guy wouldn't get a fair chance if he was asleep. Anyway, this one is Child's Play. In the next trap, we see our characters are still getting pulled forward by the chains, this time until they hang.
What the fuck?
No, it's not creepy at all.
Dude. Jigsaw reveals that one of them once stole a purse from a lady with asthma and chose not to bring back the inhaler, which resulted in the woman's death. We get this shot where she has money in one hand and the inhaler in the other, and she's looking back and forth like, oh. I was just like, really, dude? That just made me burst out laughing. So Jigsaw says that whichever one of them is guilty of this crime has poison in it. He gives them 3 syringes, 1 with the antidote and 2 with acid. All she has to do is choose.
Choose? Or I'm gonna stick them all into you!
Luckily, the numbers on the syringes have meaning. The meaning of which she figures out. The antidote syringe has the amount of money on it that she stole. The character says as much out loud.
$3.53.
So even after figuring out the puzzle, she still refuses to choose. This leads to them getting lifted up in the air and the guy trying to stab all 3 needles into her. And when this scene happened, I was actually laughing so hard, I was like, whoa, maybe this movie won't be so bad, but it's all downhill from here. Anyway, there she goes. So yeah, with a bit of honesty, I'm calling this trap doable. Now here's the kicker. After this trap, they're completely freed of their chain. Look around, they're in a normal ass barn. There's like light coming in through the slats in the wood. Why would you keep going instead of trying to break out through the wall of the barn? That's actually insane. So then they go through the next door and they see 2 paths. Oh, so now they want to try another door going against the rules. Okay. And this guy falls in the prank hole. Sorry, dude. It's at this point where we get another backstory reveal where we see what happened to this lady's baby.
If he hadn't fallen asleep, he wouldn't have rolled over.
Jesus Christ, dude. Babies in the Saw universe can't catch a break. Enough dilly-dallying, next trap. So these 2 characters get trapped in a grain silo by Jig-fucking-Saw.
Jig-fucking-Saw.
And I just have to say, there is absolutely something not right about seeing Jigsaw on like a flat screen Roku. What the f is this, dude? Looks like a shot from Scary Movie. So the silo fills with grain until it starts to fill with knives and saws and stuff. Yeah, this is a cartoon. The only way to stop it is if Ryan pulls a lever and severs his leg. And good job, team, they pull it off. I feel like you could have stayed against the wall under where the knives are falling out and they couldn't hit you. And maybe you could just stand there and wait until help came. Theoretically, that would make it one of the easier ones, but you could argue since this is a secluded barn of Jigsaws and no help is coming anytime soon. But I just feel like severing your leg without any help on the way is just a death sentence. So maybe just stay put until Jigsaw has to show up himself to move things along. I don't know, I'll call this one. In the next trap, we see them continue the games instead of trying to break out of the barn. Mitch picks up this recording and somehow stands in the direct spot where this rope will pick him up when he presses play. Oh, I'm sorry, is this a Bluetooth tape recorder? And wouldn't he have been more likely to like take a seat right there when he does the tape recorder instead of standing up and moving to this exact spot? Whatever. It's revealed that Mitch sold Jigsaw's nephew a bike with no brakes, and the kid rode all the way down to an intersection where he gets pancaked by a semi-truck. I mean, wouldn't you realize that the bike has no brakes when you take it down out of the driveway? He's then lowered into this crazy spinning spiral funnel. He has to hold down the brake lever at the bottom to stop the trap. Funnily enough though, whoa. I just realized it's a great pun. Funnily enough though, this girl manages to get up there and slams a crowbar into the wheel, stopping the trap. Yet instead of taking this opportunity to reach down and grab the brake lever, he just goes, yippee, I'm saved, until the crowbar breaks out and he gets turned into soup. And honestly, just going off the fact that he had to be in such a specific spot to get picked up by that rope, I'm going with child's play. I just like to picture the trap starting and they're just standing off a few feet to the side like, oh damn, that was weird. Shotgun keys. We see Ryan versus Anna here. Ryan's sin was getting drunk and then like falling out of the car. This led to a fiery explosion. Then he lied about what happened to put himself in the clear. First off, is anything he did here, strictly speaking, a crime? I mean, he wasn't driving drunk, so would he really have to lie? Anyway, if he lied and he was the only witness, how the hell does Jigsaw know what happened? Is John Kramer an omnipotent being? And as for Anna, it's revealed that she put the baby in the bed with her husband on purpose because it was crying loud. Oh my God, dude, just an unambiguously evil person. Here they're trapped alone and in the middle of the room is a shotgun. They wrongly assume that the only way out is for them to kill one another.
He's never got it backwards!
However, the keys are actually in the shotgun shell. He even gives them the answer by holding the shell and saying, this is the key to your freedom. However, it's horseshit, in my opinion, that her failing her test means that he is locked in there forever. Plus the fact that he already had to chop off a leg. I mean, come on, dude, give him a break. You could argue that she got it better because she had a sudden painless death, as opposed to him starving to death and turning to a skeleton in that room. So with presence of mind and no time limit, I'm calling this one doable. And the final trap in Jigsaw is the laser collar. The dirty cop versus the medical examiner. It's revealed that the medical examiner was the twist Jigsaw protege, and lo and behold, another Jigsaw protege who doesn't give his victims a chance to survive. Oh my God.
You have a choice. Scream or don't.
And so this dirty cop gets killed by these like science fiction lasers. They're the las beams from Dune, for real. And this was supposed to be like the money shot, but it legit looks like gelatin. There's no skull or anything. He looks like a Demogorgon man. Anyways, now say it with me here. Absolute bogus. All right, so you might be wondering, what the freaking shit? Where's the rest of my epic video? Unfortunately, I had to split this video up because I really wanted to make sure that I got something out for Halloween. So yeah, in order to do that, I had to pull an Attack on Titan final season and do a final part 1. So final part 2 will be out next month. Probably. Okay, kisses.